Hello. Welcome to another episode of BoP. I'm your boy, George V_AFC. I am so sorry, everybody. This is my fault. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everybody that was waiting and that we had to change. Unfortunately, work is here in Canada. The time difference is not my friend. And so thank you for everybody that's here, that is sticking with us. Sorry, Digimate. That is on me. But we will definitely be trying to change this a little bit more. I would have done 8 p.m. if I could swing it, but that's my bad. But thank you everybody for here. Thank you for engaging with the content. We're really happy that you guys could join us. Guys, a lot of news in the Arsenal Twitterverse. Mikel, there's a lot to discuss there. We do want to try to keep it. We'll probably have a pod discussing kind of Mikel and what this means, because I think once we kind of know our fate, that would probably be a little bit more of an interesting discussion, because I think a lot of this contract news is dependent on our trajectory for a lot of people. I think here at BoP, we don't really care what the trajectory is. We've been very staunchly in support of Mikel for, I think, very valid reasons. But I think a lot of even people that are skeptical of Mikel, things may change depending on where we end up. So, for example, if we were to get Champions League, I think a lot of his detractors would say that's improvement regardless. But, hey, look, everyone has their own opinion, because I've actually seen the opposite. Twitter, shock horror, does provide, ends of the spectrum. And so, I have seen people that, kind of say, listen, regardless if he gets Champions League, this is a stupid idea. And I don't understand. Like, I would say that's them more being upset that they were wrong. I think it's incredibly narcissistic and selfish, versus being happy for Arsenal if you hold that opinion, because I think that Champions League qualification can be seen as nothing but improvement. And no, it doesn't mean that the job is finished, but celebrating those steps to get back up to the top of the mountain is not only fine, but should be encouraged, being a fan. But, Kern, I definitely want to get your take, because for me, when I first saw this news, I thought, okay, this is a statement that we trust you for that next step, because it's only a 2-year extension. Like, I don't think people are realizing, like, this will take us to 2024 and 2025, right? So for me, it was kind of a confirmation that we trust you to take us into the Champions League, but you have to earn your right to stay. It wasn't a 5-year contract. It wasn't a 6-year contract. It wasn't like a Klopp or a Pep, who had received 4 or 5-year deals, right? It all came off the back. Well, I think it was agreed upon a long time ago. I think people argue semantics on Twitter, but fundamentally it was agreed and announced off the back of securing a Europa League finish and 6th minimum place, which for me, you can't make any mistake that is a justified outcome-wise as well as off-the-field progress. Like, for me, my biggest opinion is, regardless of how you may feel about Mikel, fundamentally the outcome of achieving 6th in Europa League is an improvement of what we've done last year. If you want to be black and white and you want to just go on outcome, it is an improvement. And that's the minimum that we could finish this year. But Curran, mate, I'll go to you. I think it's stupid to ask you what your opinion is, because I think you would have given it to Mikel even if this wasn't achieved and we didn't get Champions League. But what did you make of the news? What did you make of the fallout from it? And kind of what is your overall opinion about Mikel?
So, first, the overall opinion on Mikel. Mikel has proven this season to be one of the most tactically versatile managers in all of Europe. His ability to coach not only a low block but also a high mid block. He's taken different results this season. For example, if you look at Leicester away, a gritty, grind it out, and basically just grind out a 1-0 victory after getting a good goal. Or you could look at Man City away, and even though we lost, not Man City at home, sorry, and even though we lost that game, he went toe-to-toe with the positional play manager in world football right now, and showed that he could compete at the highest level. So in terms of what I think of Mikel, I think he's shown that he can coach not only a mid block, he can coach a low block, he can coach a 4-3-3, he can coach a 4-2-3-1 at an elite level. And with that, you can see that there's building blocks there to succeed, because the most successful systems, look at Man City in the Champions League semi-final. Their whole game fell apart because of their lack of transition control and the ability to control the moments, the big moments, because you do not have the men to sustain an overload in the center of the pitch, and it allows for easier transitions and easy moments to be lost. you have two men in the middle there, or you have a central overload, it allows for easier transition control. And in those big moments, Mikel just goes, okay, calm. I'm going to chuck Rob Holding on, or I'm going to chuck an extra man in the center of midfield. And he's shown that time and time again. And that's why I'm forget about the results-based analysis. What are the performances that he has put on, and how has he improved over the course of the year? We've seen that he's still got technical deficiencies. So, for example, he's too stubborn at times. That 3-game loss where he just refused to put the 3-2 block in, the 3-2 build up in, sorry, and was trying to just manage the situation. I find that those are more pressing arguments that I would say against Mikel, instead of going, oh, well, he finished 8th twice and he might get a Champions League, oh, big woohoo. No, who cares? Look at the results, or look at the performances on the pitch. Are those results sustainable? One of the best set piece teams in the league, one of the best defensive teams in the league, even though we obviously have had lapses, for example, the 5-0,
But
the
Curran,
4-0,
mate, I have a
etc.
big problem with the defensive critique because I think people are being thick for the sake of it. Our defensive line is markedly different this year. The fact that you're doing a simple
It's
goal
just much
scored
higher.
analysis
Yeah.
is really stupid, because we always were going to concede more goals when we had a higher line. That was fundamentally going to happen. That's the effect of having a high line when you transition to it. So, and the fact that you can say that your defensive record is not as solid is a little bit ridiculous, because we're not playing the same way. I mean, if you're going to make those blanket statements, you have to absolutely provide context. And so, for me, it's really quite clear that our defense is actually far better. And, that would be kind of normal to anybody with layman term eyes. But, you can't say that when you've changed how you're going to play. You're going to have some of those teething problems about general absolute stats. But this is the problem with people on Twitter that have those opinions that are using general descriptive stats and not understanding the context. Like, I think they struggle to understand those things. For example, if we scored more goals this season and I would flip it, I wouldn't say that we were offensively better. We've still been quite sticky. And if we do end up clearing, which by the way is still possible, which I find is very, very strange, but this discourse that, we won't score more goals or that we won't concede less than before, even if we failed in those absolute metrics, there needs to be context in terms of why you were performing that way. So, for example, if you've lost a major attacking player and you still don't achieve those goal scoring targets, then I mean, that is context that you need to apply. You can't just whitewash these things. These aren't comparable. So for me, when I look at it, Mikel, I think there might be need to have like a bigger discussion about what we have here, because I've said it for quite a while and I'm not going to back down. I'll say it with chest. We have a generational coach here that, for me, I think is going to set the standard long term for what people view as a successful coach. I think have a coach that will reach the Klopp and Pep level. Obviously, it's impossible to say so without outcome. Like, you need those outcomes to kind of equate the two. But if I'm looking at his potential, that is how highly I believe in Mikel. And, it's not off the back of these performances. I've been saying it for over a year and a half. What you see with what he's able to produce is the key here. I mean, getting us competitive and back to the top 4 teams in the country is kind of ridiculous when you look at the potential of our squad, the squad quality, and the overall squad age. I mean, he has, in essence,
the youngest team in the league.
the
and
youngest
what is
team in the
fielded,
league.
it's something
From
ridiculous,
going
like
from one of
20
the
plus of
oldest.
the youngest league lineups or something like this. Like
Yes.
like all of the top 15, 20 youngest lineups in this league this year have all been us. And it's very clear what the trajectory of this team is, and it's going up and not just stagnating sideways, because you know what, players mature, and even though maturation isn't linear, there is an ability to have in general more physically mature players, more battle hardened players as well, players that have now played, most of them in Europe already from the season before, as well as players that are making waves in the national team. We have national team captains in our midfield. It's very clear what's going on and what the profile of player is. Under 23 leaders that are good with the George fundamentals, i.e., good 5-yard burst, are good on the half turn, have the ability to win their duels one-on-one, have the ability to play in transition. These are the key fundamentals of our squad right now, and it's got to continue. We can't go back to technically secure yet weak players, we have to keep on with this balance between pace and power as well as technical elegance as well. So I think this summer's got to be very, very crucial, and that is why getting a Mikel a contract now and saying to look, we have a manager that we are backing, we are secure, we have the fandom, we have the foundations. I'm going to say again, sorry, Gary Neville, there are solid foundations at our club. And look, this is the key, because now going into the summer, you can say, look, our manager is secure. We have a project here for you, and now we are hopefully we'll be in the Champions League within in the next week. So let's see what happens.
I just think people are ending up looking foolish because they just want to be told that they've been right, and it's just a very selfish, narcissistic.
I want to be told I was right, because we are right.
Yeah, mate, look, at the end of the day, there's a little part of everybody that's like, I told you so. That seems to, and look,
no, but we did
being as somebody
so,
that places, the I am an inevitable gif, and I try to make that my brand, look, there is a part of that with everybody, but when you're starting to talk about these things, I feel as though Twitter, you ever see that meme where someone says, I like waffles, and like the comments like, oh, so you hate pancakes? It's like, no, idiot. That is completely two different things. I feel like when you have these divisive conversations overall, this is what Twitter spirals into. But if I was to describe, like, everybody in the comments, you let us know what you think a good manager is. I think there's 4 or 5 pillars that you need to overall look at, right? And number one, the job of a coach or a manager is to improve their players. And have they improved over 50% of the squad individually on a coaching level? Yes or no? For me, absolutely has. Has he shown an ability to identify the holes in a squad that he might need to improve? And has he done so with smart moves that can get us to the level that we need? 100%. He's proven that last summer. Has he been able to change the overall feeling of a squad? Do you like the team? After having fallen so much, do you now like the team? And how many fans would agree with the sentiment that they like the squad? 100% that has changed. We have a comment here that, when Lee Judge has made a good comment that people like to watch Arsenal again. That is absolutely true. But do you have rivals and other fans worried about your progression? Yes, you do. Do you have structures in place off the pitch that you can see a relative change? Yes, you do. So the pros have always been there with Mikel, in my opinion. And finally, the last icing on the cake for me is always results. Because I've always been a big fan of, if you set the pillars, your house will always be strong. If we sit there and we look at some of the results, which is a very short-term based, like the crown molding and your painting of a house, yeah, you can make something crap look good, but that doesn't mean that house won't fall down. And for me, these are the pillars for kind of a dynasty and success. A strong youth policy, one that is proven to work and one that recruits quite well, one that, is also interchangeable. Like, if Mikel were to leave right now, obviously he's a big part of the club, but a lot of the structures that he's put in place in the background in terms of overhauling our youth, our scouting network, our connections, these are all things that have been drastically overdone under Mikel. Fixing of the stadium, establishing more contact with fans with Josh Kroenke. Like, these are things that he has implemented, a culture change. If Mikel was to leave right now, there's a certain standard at London Colney, there's a certain standard at the Emirates right now that we're not willing to accept across our entire organization. It isn't just Mikel, and it isn't just the name. So for me, he transcends that asking of whether or not he can just get you a short-term outcome. And that's, for me, where like a dynasty is built. So that is really the difference when you start talking about, is this a manager that's like your prince, where you have to just get over to find the one, or is he the guy to lead you on? And so for me, this is why he's always checked marked kind of my personal opinion of what a manager should be. But even if he was to leave, current mate, like, I think we would be fine.
It wouldn't change.
And that is the big thing.
And for me, I think one thing that is going to be discussed, because I know a lot of it is being discussed online, is, oh, well, Ollie got a contract and Ollie did this massive culture change. Well, what Ollie did was cover up cracks. He tried to keep everyone happy. He tried to pretend that there was the United way was back. He had all of the media on his side. He had everyone trying to pander to him as well. The players were allowed. It was very much an Emery-like system, or late Wenger-like system, where the players were allowed to basically run things. he was just there to put the team sheet out and be the man manager, the motivator to try and get everyone else. He didn't run training. He basically just tried to cajole everyone and basically put out the system of good fluid counter-attacking football whilst playing a high line against certain teams, but being able to transition. I think the main thing, I don't know if you agree with this, the whole point of Ollie Ball was being able to be flexible with their line, with that back line, because there was against bigger teams he liked to sit back and counter. Against the lesser teams or the mid-table lower teams, he would push a bit higher and try and implement some form of basically just overloading in the wide areas of trying to get the ball into the players that will set up their individual brilliant moments. That was his philosophy. It was very much sort of try to get the ball to where the people that he knows that he can trust. But this isn't a Man United thing. But the whole point, the difference is where Ollie papered over things, Mikel tore things down and rebuilt them, and that is the fundamental difference between the two. And that's why I'm not hearing this whole, oh well, Mikel got a contract like Ollie got a contract, so definitely it's gonna fall apart because he's gonna buy poorly and it's all gonna fall apart. You're gonna get Champions League. It's not the same situation. So understand what the fundamentals of what the history of this tenure has been, and understand we've had bloody Özil, Aubameyang, and Lacazette doing hippie crack in bars, for God's sake. We've gone from that to the professional environment that we are in right now, and it's very much a feel-good moment for the club, and it's very much validation for the faith that the Cronkies and the general organization and the restructuring of our organization as well, from the youth to the basically all the stuff that Per Mertesacker has implemented, to Ben Napper and the with the loan system, as well as with Vinay and Edu and even though we don't really like Edu like that, we have to give him credit for the connections that he has made between the players and Mikel and the Cronkies as well. So overall, I would say there's a definite plan, and there's definitely less of a feel good in terms of, okay, well, we'll just forget everything else. We're just going to make everyone believe that everything is good. No, everyone have happy smiles and this and that. That's what happened with United. That's what happened with Emery. Right now is, look, we've bore it all. We're doing a bloody documentary on it. Everything is out. We are going to be transparent as we can, and we'll move on. And that's the last thing I would say on it.
And look, I think you totally kind of put it up, and I think Olivier, like I think you make a very good point about expectations, and I think we should definitely have, and we promise all the followers, we'll have a bigger conversation about Mikel, because I think what makes a good manager is an important conversation, because you're going to have people like Eric Ten Hag that are coming in, the Ole. We can compare clubs in transition. There's a lot of big sleeping giants that are kind of in transition at this moment in time. I really think that Mikel will be the reference for rebuild going forward. I've said it for quite a while. I think that's a topic that we can definitely get into and expand it into a bigger pod. And so we'll definitely move on, because, guys, we have the Leeds preview almost 20 minutes in, and we don't want to make this too long for you guys, because I appreciate everyone sticking with us. So let's transition to the Leeds preview. Look, this is a huge opportunity, Kern. We've been saying it probably a little bit with too much chest, but we've said that top four will be locked before the end of the season. This is a huge game for me. Liverpool are a different beast at Anfield. They're motivated. That's who Spurs are playing. There's no way they're dropping points. Sorry?
Did you see the Robertson comments?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to hear. That's exactly what you want to hear.
But, mate, it wasn't even something that needed to be said, because fundamentally they need every point. They need to keep the pressure on. So the biggest thing is, Liverpool are always going to give their best in these situations. And look, at Anfield, they're practically flawless. Not just against us, but in general, their Anfield record is very, very good. But look, we face Leeds, a Leeds team that many believe Jesse Marsch has turned around. I'm not too sure, Karan. Look, everybody who knows me and follows me knows that I'm a fan of Jesse Marsch. I've suggested him in the past for people that are looking for a specific style of play. But, people are saying that they're better offensively, have higher XG, and they're a lot better defensively. I very much push back. That's not true for me. They have a higher XG because they've committed more men forward, ironically, than Bielsa. But they're actually not as clinical in front of goal. In fact, they're worse in front of goal, and they're leaking the same amount of goals as they were prior. So I think why this is really important for us is because they're a lot more adventurous than they were under Bielsa, as crazy as it's going to
Yeah,
sound. And for people that are saying that they're a little bit more compact, well, they're not really, because they're shipping the same amount of goals. And without Dallas and without Cooper, who I think are two big losses for their width,
massive.
they're very, very big losses. I believe that this is going to be a team that's going to struggle against our quality. And when you look at it, it's an excellent game for us. Even Leeds at their best are not a team that sit back. If we were to
No,
maybe look at teams that this Arsenal side could struggle against, in theory, it's always the ones that have a very compact mid block. So your team with good transition threats. Those are the two things that Arsenal struggle with. Think Palace, think Brighton. Both of those games we struggled with in both sets of reverse fixtures. Um, you know, somebody like probably even a Man City, a Liverpool, right? Like they're compact in the middle, but they have strong transition threats. Like those are teams that we struggle against. However, not teams that go man to man, not teams that press our build up. We love that. We rip through that. We have a very secure midfield. And with Tomiyasu back, and I think Ben White, for those that haven't seen, he's been confirmed to be back in contention. He got his rest that we always thought. Mate, I am not worried one iota about this
even
game.
if it is holding, I'm not even that worried. I'll be honest. I know it probably will be White, but even if it is holding, I'm not exactly like horribly worried. I mean, they haven't. Their biggest threat is Rafinha on that left for us. Obviously, they're right, but our left. And I just think with Gabriel on that side, that's the major. I think I would be more worried if Gabriel was out. Is if White was out, because on that left they just don't have the presence there, and they just run it through the right, and that's their major threat in transition. So the major thing for me is, and when people go, okay, well, Spurs are a transition team. I mean, no, it's not a Spurs preview. Spurs are a transition team. Why aren't they a threat? Well, they don't have the midfield compactness, and they don't have the threat through the lines. Whereas this Leeds team just goes man to man, and that provides the same sort of um, some sort of loose
Well,
instability between the lines. So there's going to be a lot of space for players like Erdegaard. Saka will have the freedom against Firpo. That's going to be a lovely little duel. And I think this is a game. Strangely, I would actually play Martinelli this game. What do you think?
for this game, I think that you have the space because they're going to leave a lot of transitions, and we kind of saw it with like Xhaka when he picks up the ball in the middle of the park. There's going to be
Mhm.
space in behind this Leeds team, and I don't think that Jesse Marsh eliminates that. But one of the big things that I don't think people are looking at is they had to go back five Curran because of losing Stuart Dallas and Liam Cooper.
Yeah,
Those are huge linchpins of their defense, and when you lose more than two in a series of four, it's totally imperfect. So for me, they're using a system that they're not used to. They're using a system that Jeff Marsh actually does not prefer as well, and that kind of has an effect on the team when they also are in poor form. They're a team that's really struggling, um, and I think this, even at their best, Leeds are a team that thrive against people that come out with them and they can hit on the counter. For us, we will look to dominate the ball. We'll look to squeeze the pitch. And they don't have any outlets that will hold up the ball for them. Rodrigo, I wouldn't say, is an Antonio that can get them out of trouble. They
no,
really do rely on their first press and worrying you in that first phase. And if they can nick a goal, they sit back, and that's how they play their game. That's
yeah.
that's what Leeds would do. But for me, we've got every single one of our major progressors back except for Thomas Partey, which I think is super important for us. I think it'll speed play a little bit more. And I think, of course, Curran, for me, when you lose two big people of your defense, even if we were to lose, White and Tomiyasu at the same time, which, we haven't quite faced, actually. I don't think we have major injuries to two of
No,
the back line yet. We kind of did with Kieran Tierney and Tommy at one point, and we did struggle. I mean, even squad quality wise, you can see the effect that has.
yeah.
But do they have enough goal threat that I'm terribly worried? No. I think Rafinha is really the only one that I'm potentially worried
I
about.
want
But
to know what's going on with Bamford as well, because
well,
that
he's
is.
not. He's not been fit really all season, right?
Yeah, it's just this was the season. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I thought this was the season for him to kick on and really establish himself as a good striker in this league. and it's been horrible to see him injured. I really did like him. I think hopefully he bounces back next season because there is definitely a player in there.
Well, my favorite part, though, Kern, too, is I don't know if I've seen a lot of people look when you analyze the Leeds team, losing a lot of stuff on their left-hand side, let's call it,
Yeah,
means that it's very important that the opposition's right-hand side be very strong, and that is our strongest side. We've got
yeah.
Bukayo Saka, Martin, Tommy's back, of course, Ben White's back. Like, I really see a lot of people. I get they're worried, but they're worried from PTSD. Correct? They're not worried for any tactical reason
But
because for
that's
me,
nothing new. No one ever
no,
looks at tactics. Like,
no,
people
we
just go on.
don't. But
People just go, oh, look, we lost to Burnley because of Xhaka last year. We're going to lose to Burnley away this year. Oh, it's the same thing. People don't look at it like that. People don't look at things in that kind of way. I'm not even trying to be condescending. I'm just saying that there's a lot of superstition and a lot of personal emotions about how they feel about the team instead of actually looking at the tactical battles on the pitch. And that's why I was saying on Twitter earlier. I think that um, there's a lot of personal emotion in people's analysis instead of actually looking what actually happens on the pitch. And if you look at this game specifically, I think the only way that they try something and try and do something is if Phillips has just like this monster game where he's just roaming around everywhere breaking up duels, and he's not that guy, and he's not a Declan Rice. He doesn't have that ability to progress at the same level, and I just feel like that midfield is so stretched at times. And I mean, who knows if he'll play Geldhart or Rodrigo, who will play up top, but they just don't have the firepower to hurt us,
I
especially
mean,
at
I
the end.
think they'll do Rodrigo, and I mean, when you look at kind of course, there are some people that definitely look at it and we appreciate. We're trying to
Yeah,
change that. We're trying to change that
we're
platform.
trying to change that.
And of course, look, and this is, I think, what we're talking about, the PTSD, because I
Mm.
mean, it's the case of you don't want to face a team that's lost 3 in a row. You'd actually prefer facing a team that's won 3 in a row, and you just kind of make up these things, really, where you're looking at superstition. But ultimately, when you just look at the cold-hearted day, Leeds lack the offensive threat to really pin people back. They do work off their press. And if you've got a good build-up that can actually camp in their half, they're not very good at transitioning when they have the ball. They use their off-the-ball movement to score goals, and that's a totally fine way of making chance creation. But unfortunately, when facing a team that's got excellent build-up, that's got an excellent structure to mitigate kind of loose balls in the middle third, that's kind of kryptonite to a team like this. So for
Yeah,
me, I think it's really, really simple. We might be looking at, for me, a 3-1. So I'm going to go with a prediction of 3-1 to the Arsenal. I think that's my favorite score line. So I
it
have a
is your favorite
feeling I
scoreline.
should return to that. How about you, mate? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking 2-0. I think we get a clean sheet. I think there's an ability here to really shut them out and get our defenders on a bit of form going into Thursday, which again, massive game. Tune in if you haven't seen this robot next to me go wild, or see how the chest being shown for Spurs. So yeah, I think clean sheet here for the Arsenal, and a good way to celebrate Mikel's win. I will say one thing. This is the perfect way, I think, to summarize it. Mikel, if you are such superstitious, right? Mikel's contract announcement. What happened a year? Let me see if you know this. What happened a year ago today?
No, I have no idea. I'm horrible with dates, mate.
Let's
I
give
couldn't even guess.
Villarreal second leg. Villarreal second
Okay.
leg was a day, was a year exactly to this day.
Yeah.
So people are just going with the juju with that there's some sort of like that. That was one of the main points of contention. They're doing it a year after Villarreal. How dare they? Like it's mad to me. But look, I'm pretty sure this deal was done weeks before, and I think I like the double announcement. That was cool. But in
Hmm.
terms of this game, I just feel like it's very much a winnable game with that can give us a lot of confidence for this last 3 games, because remember we're down to 4 games now, 4 games
Not for me,
until
current mate. It's games. It's a cup final. It's a semifinal and a final, because
yeah.
you beat Leeds, you beat
I,
Spurs. It's done. I don't
mm,
think people realize, but mathematically, I think actually technically you do need Liverpool to get a result. Draw or loss.
I think Ben Mee has
But
something for them as well. I think Ben
Look,
is
I think there's
crazy
a lot of
Clara
teams
Army.
left that have something for Spurs, because I think that they capitulate like they always do. But look, that's a preview a little bit less than a week in advance. You get to see Spurs, George. And again, I do always encourage people that watch the channel, if you ever want to find a preview or not miss a preview, do never miss a Man United or Spurs preview, because I have a tendency to go a little bit hard. So
Well,
I
I'll tell
abandoned
you
my.
right. Go and watch the Man United preview from when we lost at Old Trafford. The Old Trafford preview. Do you remember? The Old Trafford preview was off the hinges. We
Oh,
were so full of chest, and even though looking back on it, we
let's put it
Erdegaard,
this
but
way, Curran,
but it
mate.
is
There
what
are
it is.
just, I'm thankful that we've got a goalkeeper that can drive well. But
Yeah.
ultimately, when we look at the stuff, mate, I think we've got 3-1. You've got 2-0. Do you remember Chris's prediction, so we can get that out there?
He hasn't. He didn't send his. I think we'll put
Didn't
it on
send it.
Twitter
So
later.
we'll try to update those later. So look, guys, a big thank you for everybody that's tuned in. Sorry again
Mm.
for the late stuff. I apologize, but we will definitely be back very, very soon with a review. We've got some stuff coming up. I think Curran, you've got something special you want to shout out for the
Yeah,
members,
I
some membership
recorded.
content.
Yeah, I recorded some membership content for you guys. Um, I'm gonna look back because I'm pretty sure my camera's a bit blurry, so I might have to re-record it. But if it's good, hopefully we'll release it next week. I know there's a lot. We've been saying members content for a while, but this is something that I've worked on for a while. So if you do have some interest in some, well, I'll give you a bit of a hint. It's a piece on one of the historical teams in the Premier League. So Pellegrini's Manchester City 13 in 2013-14 season. So if you do have some interest in some of those or something like that, then do click the members button. I mean, not members button. Join the join button. Sounding a George now. The join button to join as a member, and like, comment, subscribe as always. And I'll leave you to George to do the socials.
Yeah, look, followers. He didn't like my nickname, Oldies but Goodies. So it's gonna be BoP
I refuse.
Classics,
I refuse.
and
I
yeah,
feel like
no,
such
it's
an
a.
old man.
But on a real, guys, look, I think it's going to be excellent. So we're definitely going to be reviewing. You'll have a chance that I think all of us, will have a look at some old teams, some classic teams, some breakdowns, some of their tactics. So I think if that's something that you're interested in, so I'm looking at you, Tony, who does like the tactics, definitely look out at that, because that's going to be some member content that we're going to be doing. And so the first one's the Manchester City 13-14 season. That'll probably be out sometime next week around Wednesday for members. And then we will definitely be back for the review, probably Monday or Tuesday, but we'll definitely let everybody know. To review this Leeds game, and also the Spurs preview will definitely be next week. So guys, look, we've got a week basically, in my opinion, to really decide that fate. I think we've got a big week in the fandom of Arsenal. Let's all keep the faith. Let's remember not to worry about other rivals. Focus on our own lawn, our own performances. Take it game by game. And I think we will get there in the end. I want to thank everybody. Yeah, don't worry, mate. Like, CK's just a little bit busy with exams. He's going to be back. There's nothing wrong. He's just a little bit busy. So he's coming. Don't worry. I did want to echo Curran's statement, and a big thank you for everyone sticking with us. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You hit that bell for notifications to know when we do upload. And of course, if you do like that member content, you can click that little join button, as Curran was saying, and you can become a member. But thank you so much, everybody. This is where I bid you all adieu, and we will see you guys next week for the review of Leeds. Bye, everybody.